Good morning, everyone. We are here to talk about starting a food rescue, choosing your own adventure. And with us currently, actually, are Omar Tarabishi and Randy Rosens. We may have Tom Fernandez from Last Mile Food Rescue joining us shortly. We're working on that side. But one of the things we want to address this morning is whether folks are wanting to just simply begin a food recovery organization or scale up their operation, is looking for the opportunities and the challenges, and perhaps some tips and tricks from these folks on the call. So I would love to start, Omar, if we just sort of quickly, like a 1-minute intro, and then we'll go back and you can show your slides.
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's amazing to be part of the Food Rescue Hero Conference. My name is Omar Tarabishi. I'm the founder and president of Leftover Love, Inc. We are a small 501c3 food rescue organization in Baltimore, Maryland, and we just incorporated this year in 2024. I'm super excited to share what we've been able to accomplish this year. Still a little bit more to come, but we're super optimistic about 2025 and what else we're going to do. Thanks.
That's awesome. Thank you, Omar. Randy, how about you?
Thank you, Lord. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Food Rescue Dude is about helping people find out what their place and space is in food rescue. There's a wide range. I kind of started out, I call it the lemonade stand of food rescue. And Keep Austin Fed, which I founded 20 years ago, has kind of ramped up to what I'll call like the Minute Maid of food rescue in that. And Food Rescue Dude will help you find where the right space is for you. There's a place for everybody to fit in how it fits their lives and how they want to do it. And Food Rescue Dude is about helping you do that.
I really love that. And Tom, I'm so glad that you joined us. So Tom, we're just doing sort of 1-minute, intros, and then we'll go back around for everyone's introductions and presentations.
Thanks, Lori. Greetings from the Sunshine State of Florida. My name's Tom Fernandez, and I'm the co-founder of two food rescues, Last Mile Food Rescue in Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky, and Tamiami Food Rescue serving Florida.
That's lovely. I didn't say that I'm also a founder and understand sort of the burden and the work and the joys of being a founder. We started Haven's Harvest, started the work about 9 years ago, launched Haven's Harvest about 5 years ago in New Haven, Connecticut. So we've got different regions of the country, represented here. So I'd love to go back, Omar, and if you'd like to begin your presentation, that would be wonderful.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Lori. I'm going to full screen it just so I can see a little bit better. Oh, this is perfect. Hi, everyone, again. My name is Omar Tarabishi. I'm the founder and president of Leftover Love. We are a 501c3 food rescue organization in Baltimore, Maryland. And I'm so happy to be here. I was actually born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which hometown. I'm representing with my black and gold here. Just wanted to show it. I'm also in Dearborn, Michigan for another conference. So I got to wear my Palestinian scarf. I'm going to take that off now so you can see the logo for Leftover Love. Next slide. Thanks a lot, Patrick. So I wanted to start with kind of the story of Leftover Love and how we got started. This is a photo of my wife and I, and we co-founded Leftover Love in 2024. But the idea was really conceptualized in 2021. We had recently just got married. It was still COVID time, so we decided to take a train trip across the U.S. Amtrak had a sale on the rail pass, and so we were in Chicago. We're watching a Cubs game. It's the bottom of the 8th, and I wanted to get ice cream. So I went to the concession stands, and I asked them, well, there's still so much food being produced. It's the end of the game. What's the point of making more burgers and fries and hot dogs? You already have so much stuff under the heaters, and you're constantly creating more food. Well, what are you going to do with this leftover food? And then they responded so nonchalantly and so matter-of-factly that, oh, we just throw it away. And as you're making your way in parts of Chicago and parts of other, cities in the U.S., you can see that there's definitely a need there. And so that kind of stuck with me for the rest of that trip in L.A. and Houston, St. Louis, and it kind of came back home with me in Baltimore. And so it took some time, of course. We incorporated and started in 2024, but continually working on that idea and what is it going to look like? Who are we going to work with? And if everyone is thinking about it, why isn't anyone doing it? What is the problem? And it really came down to a logistics problem, a transportation problem. How do we get food from point A to point B? And that's really what we focused on. So all the pieces are there. They just need to be connected. We have our column A, our food donors, and we have our column B, our food recipient organizations or agencies. And so we work to match A and B together so that food can be used for the community in need. Next slide. Thanks, Patrick. And so the key question that we asked ourselves was, well, what is our niche and how do we fit into the food rescue space? starting our research in 2021, continue looking at other organizations. We came across Be More Community Food, the Food Project, the Baltimore Hunger Project. Of course, there's the Maryland Food Bank, and then also a Food Rescue DC that just started in Food Rescue Baltimore. So what are they working on, and how could we fit in? And we decided that, what is our niche? We're really going to focus on that grab and go. Baked goods, breaded products. We're thinking pastries and bagels, freshly baked bread. A lot of these places close kind of early in the day, 2:30, 3, 4 o'clock. And so they're easy to rescue. We can go out, we could pick up that shelf-stable bread that could stay out for about 2 or 3 days, and then before they get refrigerated and frozen, they could be consumed. And so you can see here in the photos, we have a whole bunch of leftover bagels from Uber Bagels, is one of our happy partners, and THB Bagels. And then we have in the middle some bread that we rescued from Ovenbird Bakery, and we're happy to say that we rescue from Ovenbird Bakery every single day that they're open. And then lastly, that's from that same event that you saw the picture earlier. That was a food rescue from Vargas Bakery, Uber Bagels, as well as Good Boy Bagels. So a couple of our partners that we're really happy to be working with and giving that to the community in need. Next slide. Now, of course, as a brand new 501c3, we definitely encountered our fair share of challenges. Funding first and foremost, but we've been lucky enough to receive a $5,000 grant from the Baltimore Community Foundation, which has really, really helped do an amazing amount of work in such a short amount of time. That funding was exclusively for our mileage reimbursements for our volunteers. So we're able to really get a whole bunch more volunteers that could help work with us, go out to our food donors, deliver to our food recipient organizations, and then we can reimburse them with mileage. And then mobilizing volunteers, for sure. It's tough to find volunteers that work with, the schedule of rescuing food, of the closing of some of these bakeries and some of these places. But, I think what's most important is working with those volunteers, being flexible, asking them what works for their schedule. We've been lucky enough to find some volunteers that have availability on their weekends, or they have a light work from home schedule where, hey, there's no meetings. I would love to help out with leftover. I'd love to rescue some food. So listen to your volunteers. They are your most precious asset. And then last but not least, for sure, the nonprofit day-to-day. It's a lot of hats to wear. It's definitely going to be a lot of work. So really think about the gradual release of responsibility. And that's a term, I have an education background, so I'm implementing that for food rescue. You can't do it all. You really got to tap some of your really key volunteers, some of your friends, your family, your neighbors, those that really believe in your mission and say, hey, I got a lot on my plate. I would love to, definitely. In February and March, I was in my car 8 hours a day, going up, picking up, dropping off food. I can't do that anymore. I got to have help. And so reaching out to volunteers, reaching out to other people that really believe in your mission and giving them a little bit of responsibility to take up more of that nonprofit day to day. Next slide. What about opportunities? Challenges, but they come with some opportunities. I wanted to highlight the photo here on the right. This is the free market at the Enoch Pratt Library on Eastern Avenue in Baltimore. This is in our neighborhood in Highlandtown. And then Enoch Pratt Library is the chain, that main chain of Baltimore City libraries in Baltimore. So having an amazing partner like that, we were tapped by Enoch Pratt when they were opening up this free market. It's a completely free market where people can line up and they get a bag. They can fill up their bag to the brim with as much of whatever we have for that Wednesday or that Friday. So being tapped by the library, it was an amazing opportunity. It's a great way to get our name out there. And we've been able to relocate a lot of our rescued food to the library for their Wednesday distribution and their Friday distribution, which has been really, really great. It's led to some really great meetings with important stakeholders in the city. The ribbon cutting ceremony for the free market had the mayor, Brandon Scott, there. We were able to shake hands, have a little bit of time to talk, exchange business cards, and really talk about the future of what we want to do in Baltimore, as well as meeting some key board members for the Enoch Pratt Library System who really believes in our cause, the regional director of Maryland Food Bank. So it's really worked wonders. And then lastly, don't underestimate the power of social media. I mean, the coverage of the ribbon cutting ceremony and the coverage of the grand opening of the free market has really led to reels and Instagrams with us being tagged in it and being reposted. I can tell you, looking at our Instagram, I think it's gone up double or triple the amount of followers. We have over 8.1 thousand interactions now, and it's come out of nowhere. This is just recently in the last month. So it's been really, really great. And so don't underestimate the power of social media and someone covering your event or covering what your organization does. It could really work wonders for getting more volunteers and possibly getting more funding. Next slide. So some helpful resources to get started. I wanted to list definitely the Food Rescue Hero Startup Guide. I promise you, at my laptop back home in Baltimore, this tab has been open for over a year. I've had this food rescue startup guide saved there. It's bookmarked, it's starred, and every day I'm just checking back in. Where am I in the process? What are some key questions that maybe I haven't thought of that I should ask my volunteers or our donors or the organizations that we work with? So it's been a really, really great resource to create volunteer sign-up forms, to create, food donor form, food recipient organization forms. So I really want to shout out Food Rescue Hero for sure for that startup guide. It's been really great. And then the Maryland Nonprofits Organization, which is an organization in and of itself to help nonprofits, start what they want to do. So they really took care of a lot of the bureaucracy and the paperwork in that early 2024 stage, turning in that 1023 form. They're going to help us with their 990 form, and they provide a lot of free professional development, which has been essential for learning what a board's responsibilities are, executive director's responsibilities are, and what duties that we have to the people and to the organization. So I'd say Maryland Nonprofits or the equivalent if you're in a different state. And then lastly, find a mentor. I was lucky enough, I graduated from the University of Maryland in 2012, and I overlapped with another guy who started something similar that was for-profit, rescuing food. And so, learning from him, connecting with him about once a month, we have a chat or a WhatsApp or a Zoom call. And I'm saying, how am I doing? What tips do you have? What tricks do you have so that we can keep this going? And so that's been a really great soundboard to chat with every now and then to kind of check in as we make some more progress. Next slide. So action steps. I didn't want to give you guys some action steps before I stop speaking. So challenge businesses in your area and ask them, what do they do with excess food? And we started with our favorite places to eat in Baltimore. We love Ovenbird Bakery. We'd be there at least once or twice a week. So one morning, we started to stay there, and we, decided to come back in the afternoon at closing time. And we pointed out, what are these croissants going to do? What's happening with these croissants? What's happening with all that sour bread that you have on the shelf? And they said that they did donate in the past, but that food rescue they worked with kind of fell through. So they were happy to partner with us as long as we could fulfill that promise and be there and rescue food. And we've been able to do that since February, which has been really amazing. Mobilize a group of friends, family, neighbors to start to rescue food. Those that believe in you, those that believe in the mission of the organization in your community. And don't forget to track the pounds. Your price per pound, the amount of food that you rescued, that's going to work wonders for talking to donors, to talking to other organizations, to continue to believe in your mission. And then lastly, work collaboratively. There's enough room in food rescue for more and more organizations to do more great work. I mean, here we are. We incorporated just this year, but we've been able to reach so many different partners. When we go in and we ask, what's done at close of business? If this food is thrown away, that's a shame. We need to be there. We need to be able to do something about that. So though that there's other organizations in Baltimore, know that there's always a space for us, and hopefully there's a space for new organizations in different parts of the U.S. as well. Next slide. I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much to Food Rescue for having me here online. Our email is here, leftoverloveinc@gmail. You could follow us on Instagram at leftoverloveinc. We're also on LinkedIn, or just check out our website, leftoverloveinc.org. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Omar. I really appreciate that. And Omar and I met last year at the conference, and I had heard the beginning part of the story. So I'm really loving catching up and hearing all your successes this year.
Thanks so much.
Amazing. So I want to, just in terms of time, I'd love for Randy to get started if you're up for that, Randy.
Absolutely. That's why we're here. Thanks, Lori. I feel like I don't have anything to say. Omar, you nailed it. You hit all the big points, which is great, which is awesome. It means you're doing all the right things and you're saying exactly what it's all about. And Food Rescue Dudes echoes that, but in a slightly different fruition. So 20 years ago, when I was in Austin, Texas, you were at a ball game. I used to volunteer for the Texas Wine and Food Foundation. I was a wine pourer, very self-serving work. It was a lot of fun. But again, I saw at the end, there was a lot of food left over. And these were high-end events, these $150 plate fundraiser kind of things. So once I got comfortable, I approached one of the caterers and said, I have a friend who's involved in a domestic violence shelter in town. I bet they'd love this food. What do you think? And this was 20 years ago. And what's now called Keep Austin Fed, we didn't invent food rescue, but nobody knew the rules then. It was sort of the Wild West of food rescue. So she said, I'm a small business. I don't know the liability. I don't want to get in trouble, but I'm very proud of my food. I don't want it to go to waste. So I trust you. I'm going to give you the food and we'll see what happens. So I called this friend at the shelter and told her the story. She says, yeah, well, no one's ever asked us before, but yeah, sure. Sounds good. So we just wrapped up this, it was Chateaubriand and crab stuffed portobellos. It was all this high-end fancy stuff in the, the little aluminum things with the pinchy top, shuttled it over there. And the friend called the next day, said, "Oh my God, you have no idea. These folks are living in a domestic violence shelter. Their lives are rough. You didn't, of course, you didn't solve their problems, but for an hour and a half, they got a little respite. They got to eat good food. It wasn't macaroni and cheese and ramen noodles. And they got to sit around with dignity and eat a balanced quality meal. So they needed that. Thank you so much. Let's do this. We'll take it anytime it's available." I called the caterer, told her, "Hey, this is what happened." And she was thrilled. And I hung up from those 2 calls and said, "Wow, all these people are so happy. This was like the easiest thing I ever did in my life." So I just want to do more of it. And I am absolutely not a person who says, I think I have a seed of an idea here. I'm going to learn how to get 501c3 designation and form a board and a governance committee. I just went out and started doing more of it. And, echo Omar, next was a bakery in Austin who, same thing. Our drivers drive around with this food. It's day old, but it's awesome. It's real high end stuff. But they usually come back with it because A, they don't really know where to take it. And B, they have this delivery schedule they're trying to keep on. So, yeah, we love the idea. And again, this was 20 years ago. They said, why don't you just come in? And I think they wanted to make sure I wasn't trying to scam them out of free good food. But, went back. Once they could see it was a real deal, they'd say, "Here, from now on, go in the back door. Everyone's going to know who you are, going to wave, smile, go in. There's going to be a box in the cooler that says, 'Keep Austin Fed.' You're in and out of there in 3 minutes and everyone's happy." So what I saw back then was that food service doesn't want to waste food, but the economic reality of food services, they're on razor thin margins just to stay open. And the cheapest thing to do for their bottom line is the fastest and the easiest, which is to reach out the door and drop it in the dumpster, which they hate. So if we could make it as easy for them to donate food as it would be to toss it, then yeah, they're on board. They want to be good community citizens. So I just started going one more at a time and say, "Hey, how do we make it easy for you?" I mean, Omar, you alluded to this a little bit. What day do you want me to come? What time of the day? Do you want me to bring a bag? Make it easy for them, and they're going to want to be on board. And it was really that simple. And then, the third leg of this chair is volunteers. And I'd be somewhere. This is Austin, Texas. We'd be out listening to music. I'd say, "Oh my God, I got to go do a food rescue." Friend would look at me like, "What the hell are you talking about?" I'd say, "We're here, come along with." And we'd go to Mandola's bakery, pick up their amazing breads and focaccias, and we'd take it to a low-income housing. And they'd come out and just want to hug you and thank you so much for this. And, boom, in less than an hour, we're back listening to music again. And this friend would say, "Wow, I got goosebumps with this. I didn't know this thing existed. I had no idea how easy it was." And, these have become huge problems. I saw the other day that the amount of perfectly good food that ends up in the landfill, perfectly good food would fill 750 college football stadiums. Like, whoa. So, okay, we train new volunteers all the time. They say, okay, I'm one person. What can I do? Well, you can have a big impact as one person. We have small runs from a little local cafe that'll be sandwiches, salads, and cookies that'll go to a recovery facility. And, there's a dozen people that had lunch. They maybe weren't sure what they were going to do. And, we also do 3 Trader Joe's 7 days a week. And walk through a Trader Joe's. It's everything. It's the dairy. It's the sandwiches. It's the salads. It's the frozen. It's even the flowers. And, we could take that to a high-rise, low-income place, and, that can be parlayed into a couple hundred meals. So you pick what works for you. And I think the beauty of food rescue is there's a space for everyone in how you want to get involved. This isn't a walkathon you do once a year. You sort of know you're doing something good, and then you don't think about it. This is something you can build into your life. But everyone's life is different, so you have to look at that. And that's kind of how it went. Food Rescue Dude got started because I'm more, I call myself, the lemonade stand of food rescue. It's just real simple. It's real easy what one person can do. I'm real big on little free pantries. You can build one in your neighborhood, fill it with your neighbors, and that's it. That's your whole commitment. Or you can ramp up and be what Keep Austin Fed has become today, which after 10 years, we became a 501c3. So we've been one for 10 years, 250 volunteers, 175 food rescues a week. I mean, that's big. And honestly, that wasn't me. So I wanted to figure out, well, how do I help people who don't want to get involved at that level? So that's what Food Rescue Dude has become. I keep forgetting. You can switch slides. Thank you. So, okay, yeah, our values, and I can't read that so small here, but yeah, Food Rescue Dude, it's just a free service to help people figure out what their place in food rescue is. If you want to be small with your spouse or your church group or your bowling team, we'll help you find that. It's totally free. There's no barrier to entry, and there doesn't have to be. You know, as Omar said, as you grow, there's going to be complexities. You're going to need money. And that's great if that's what you want to do. And Food Rescue Hero is awesome. They have the platforms, they have the tools to ramp up, but maybe that's not where you want to be along the way. So, you know, I found that as food rescue grew and expanded and evolved, which is phenomenal, we need to save all this food and get it to the people who can use it. There's a way for everyone to do it, and people don't always know where to start. So Food Rescue Dude, we created it's a online community. It lives on Facebook where people can go in and ask questions, any questions, whether you're an experienced food rescuer and you want to tap into someone else's experience and knowledge, or whether you're brand new, you have no idea what food rescue is. There's a guide of how to create your own food rescue. It's long. It's 70 slides, if you will, but it captures every little bit of minutia. If you're a self-starter and you say, you know what, just give me the guidebook, I can figure it out. It's there. And then there's also, I guess, switch slides again, if you would. And I don't want to take up your time reading all the values and the missions. You guys can do this if you go to foodrescuedude.org. If you could switch slides again, please. Okay, so it's basically, this is easy. This is simple. Anyone can do it. There doesn't have to be a barrier to entry. You can do it with a lot of money, or you could do it with no money. And we're here to help you. We're here to hold your hand and walk through it. I know we live in a virtual age. I'm sort of an old pony. So, you know, you can reach out to me. I will answer your phone call. You know, I had a couple who I met, and they're seniors. They're in the community I live in now, which is in Port Townsend, Washington, at the tip top of the Olympic Peninsula. About as far from you as you could be, Tom. But they said, you know, we had no idea about this. What can we do? And I said, well, you know, I'm involved in the food bank here in Port Townsend, and we do a food rescue. We do food rescues all the time. You know, where do you live? What's your availability? You know, I'll help plug you into a food rescue. And they said, you know, let's try it once. And now they're on board. They want to do it. They don't want to start their own food rescue, but they want to be involved. You know, put us on the food bank's call list when someone can't come in. And now they love it. And this was an older couple who had never done anything like this in their life. And now they're engaged. So there's a place for everyone. Next slide, please. And yeah, this pretty much is an echo again, but you can't hear this good stuff enough that Omar did. It's all about just finding some friends. Identify someplace in your area. I mean, I always tell people, start with a restaurant or a bakery or a coffee shop that you go to, that you're comfortable. You know the manager. You're comfortable having this conversation. Say, what do you do with your leftovers? And then start with a local community center, senior center, a church group that has meals, that helps people. And that's how you get started. Dip your toe in the water, see how it feels. And then you may decide, this is great for me. I just wanted to do it a couple times a week. Or you might, again, say, wow, I love this. I want to get more people. I want to start the next Keep Austin Fed. And we can help you do either one of those things. So that's really what it's all about. It's very simple. It's very easy. And the impact can be very high. I'll sort of end it with this. When I first started doing this, and, you know, I didn't really sometimes say, why am I driving around all day doing this? And again, 20 years ago, I got a couple of tattoos, much to my mother's, you know, kind of horror. And one is hard to see. It says simplify. And the other one says be the change. Well, the simplify was, it really is this simple. You know, here is extra food that's perfectly good. Here are people in your community that really will enjoy and appreciate and need this food. And you just pick it up from point A, drop it off to point B, and get back to your life, and you can have it fit your life. And then the be the change part was, it could be the Gandhi, you must be the change you wish to see in the world. But the quote I had seen at the time was, as one person, I cannot change the world, but I can change the world of one person. And that's what you are doing every day. You are making, in this big, crazy world where everything's so remote and disconnected, you can make a profound difference in the life of someone in your community. So that's really what it is. We have an online community. So anyone who's interested, I know we don't have all the time in the world here today. Thank you, Food Rescue Hero, for putting this together. But please go to foodrescuedude.org at your convenience. Reach out to me personally, and we'll help you get involved in the food rescue world. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Randy. I really appreciate that. Yeah, actually, kudos to you. One of the things that I noticed you mentioned in the beginning, and it sort of plays out quietly through what you just said, was talking about the relationships and the trust, actually. Like when you first talked about the first place that eventually said, you could just go in the back door. But I think that those creating the relationships and the trust that we create with our food donors, with our partners, with the nonprofit partners and volunteers, that's really critical to the success of the work. And it is about being the change, and it's like showing up authentically, and people see that you mean, of course, no ill, but in fact want to, whatever I would say, bring joy. And I really love that, how you're working that in and allowing other folks.
People want to do good. Basically, we're good people. We want to do good, but a lot of times we don't know how. And a lot of times the scale of our world as a whole is very intimidating. So if we can make it less intimidating to just try things, then you find what will everyone's different. Everyone's life is different. So you have to, if this is going to work and you want volunteers to do this, it has to fit their life. So you have to help them find that.
I totally agree with that. That's really beautiful. And true. I mean, beautiful and true. And I like the beautiful part is that we are good people. And I do trust that we are good people. It's a deeply held belief. Tom, how about if you're ready, go up next.
Thank you, Lori. Again, my name is Tom Fernandez. I started 2 different food rescues: Last Mile Food Rescue in Cincinnati in Northern Kentucky, and then Tamiami Food Rescue in Florida. And I'll ask for the next slide there. And so we'll go to the next one as well. And to me, founders reframe what's possible through food rescue. That's the first thing they do. The second thing they do is that they're willing to see it through. Both are extremely difficult to do, and I'll just want to encourage you, though, because it's worth it. So this is a picture of me first meeting Leah Lizarondo, the co-founder of 412 Food Rescue of Pittsburgh. And this is a picture from October 2017. And like Omar, I'm a Pittsburgh kind of guy, born in Pennsylvania. But it took 3 years from the time this photograph was taken for us to launch Last Mile. I saw a LinkedIn post from our school, Carnegie Mellon University, honoring alumni accomplishments. And Leah reframed what's possible using technology and volunteers. And I thought, I want to do this in Cincinnati. So I reached out and we met at the Carnegie Museum the Saturday before my Steelers beat the Bengals. And we met and we hit it off. And but there were so many challenges before my partner, Julie Schiffman, and I were able to launch. And we had to overcome those. We worked our way through fundraising challenges presented by COVID. We had to find the best in the business to lead the organization. And Eileen Buda, who is now our fearless CEO, is just outstanding. And we had to see that through, and we did it. Last Mile is a success story. And with all our difficulties, though, the bottom line is do it. It's worth it. So next slide, please. So, wow, Tom Fernandez, that's what I hope to tell you as an acronym. That's how I reframe this WTF in my mind when my daughters would send it to me after giving them fatherly advice. So I'm not really sure that I'm the best person to ask for advice from, but when my friend Jen England asked me to participate, I said yes. So I hope I can reframe as a founder WTF in your mind. So next week, Last Mile starts its 5th year. And we are a rocket ship, achieving 25% year over year growth. And this year, we expect to deliver 4.2 million pounds of free fresh food to the Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky area. And this is our team, and this team is everything. So I dedicate this to them. It's a wonder that I think that maybe they say WTF after our conversations that we have, but I hope they don't. The next slide, please. So I asked my daughters what other abbreviations I should be wary of if I receive them as I go about my food rescue. And I've reframed one in my mind to say, I deliver great amounts of food. And so I think I'm on a different slide here. So I'm going to go back to this one and say that we need new founders, you and me. And so in this particular case, what I've got here is a map of Florida here and the Tamiami Trail. And so we in Florida mash up Tampa to Miami. So I thought I can do food rescue here in Florida too. So I've created this nonprofit and we're going to serve Florida. And I want you to be the next founder too. We need it. We need to scale food rescue. So next slide, please. Yeah, so to me, being a founder is a lot of things. And to me, it can be lonely and scary, mainly joyful. It can be anxiety inducing, and the bottom line, it's worth it. So I was, hoping to make a nice presentation for you and, thinking about a lot of things. And this is a map of Florida, and the World Central Kitchen has been here in Florida, amongst other places that are war torn, like Gaza and the Ukraine, but they're just doing fantastic work helping Floridians recover from hurricanes Helene and Milton. And as I was stressing out, trying to get ready for today, I got a call from a friend. It's the Food Rescue US folks in Miami, and they're just the best. And they said, "Hey, you know what, Tom? We think that there's going to be extra food in the Largo area." And so they hooked me up, and yesterday we were able to rescue 8,000 pounds of World Central Kitchen food as they set up new kitchens in Tennessee and other parts of the U.S. So again, it's just a story of collaboration, and that's really, to me, the only way forward. So next slide. So I asked my daughters, hey, help me reframe as a founder another acronym. And to me, feel awesome feeding others is what I want you to think of. So it can be really difficult being a founder, but you will feel awesome feeding others. So when somebody says no, it really just means they're not ready. Okay, I really do believe what Randy's saying, that people, these are good people out there. They have their own difficulties, either running a food operation, or they have their own difficulties doing whatever. And it's just like they just need more time to figure out, okay, what is it that you can offer as value, because you will feel awesome feeding others. Next slide. Okay, so here's another one for you. I deliver great amounts of food. So, I just want to make sure that you think of that when it gets hard. because it will get hard as a founder. And just remember, it's you deliver great amounts of food. The hungry really don't care about the complexity of food rescue. They really don't. They need you to get the result, and they want you to get the result. So just remember that when somebody tells you no, because maybe in their mind, they can think of, I donate great amounts of food. That's how they're going to feel once you convert them to food rescue. Next slide. Okay, so in the end, as you start your food rescue, just know that the team is everything. The team's job is hard, and sometimes they're underpaid for their brilliance. The team cares about the mission, so recognize every one of their monumental accomplishments. When a dispatcher rescues 30 extra pounds by getting a replacement volunteer at the last second, that means that 21 people will eat today because of it. And that needs to be celebrated. It's such a joyful thing. So count on your team. They are everything here. Next slide, please. I think you should set big goals. Setting big goals sets a vision of what's possible. It energizes the allies. It energizes food donors and financial donors, and it gives teams a target to execute against them. And I find that the team really then tries new and innovative approaches to meet these stretching and challenging goals. It also gives me as a founder room to adjust as necessary. So I've set big goals. I set a goal of $4 billion worth of food to be donated through food rescue that I impact by 2045. And we're on track for that. And people say, Tom, what are you doing? I was like, I want to set this goal. And they go, that's crazy. And it's like, yeah, but we're on track for that. We're on track for $500 million worth of donations in Cincinnati through Last Mile. And through Florida, I think I can achieve $3.5 billion. And it holds me accountable. And it really is, it's a conversation starter. It's awesome to shoot for the goal. And I've added another marginal $3 billion through networking with you. It's like, I hope that founders like you come forward and start new rescues. And so it's kind of funny that, Randy is in this gorgeous part of the Pacific Northwest. Hey, Randy, my daughter is in Seattle, and I go there now a couple times a year to spend time with her. And I want to start a food rescue in Seattle. And I'm going for it in your next person I'm calling.
Please reach out. I'm not that far from you.
No, not at all. And you have been doing this for 20 years. It's so crazy and awesome. And I believe what you say, which is one person can have that impact. Anybody really has that power to transform somebody's life who needs it. So expect a call soon.
Okay.
So the last slide here, I think, hopefully. Yeah, so just from a call to action standpoint, I think that we need more founders to scale. There's so much more food out there. We're doing a great job, but there's just so much more out there. It's crazy. So we need more founders. And it's difficult, yes, but in the end, it's worth it. And I think that, go ahead and scale with your supporters. And then, when you hear no, these detractors, just know that they need more time. But it is easier to scale with your supporters. So, the water should flow where it's able. So your team is everything, right? So make sure that you recognize their critical contributions and then ask for help. Here's my cell phone and my email. We need more founders like you. Please do it. Reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I really appreciate that. Yes, same. I appreciate especially your call to action for more founders. And what I hope is that the folks here on the call hear 4 of us who have founded organizations and have, encountered a number of no's and still keep looking forward to the yeses and not to get discouraged. And I appreciate the 3 of you, really just pushing through. Just like for me, I have this vision of what the possibilities are. Not quite the same numbers that Tom has, but trusting in the people and trusting that we'll find our way forward. And there is an answer, and that we're making a difference with every call that comes in. And that really, I feel so grateful actually to be here on the platform with the 3 of you. This is really lovely. I'm just checking to see if there are any notices from or any questions.
So if I can chime in before I'm old, I'll forget to say things. Collaboration's a big deal. One thing I like about this, and the Food Rescue Dude motto is not to make a profit, but to make a difference. We're in the nonprofit space. We don't have that pressure of our shareholders on our bottom line. Yes, the competition can be for money because there's only so many funders and we need money, but it's some place that we can work all together. And, again, with patience, Tom, you said, there's a place for everyone. If they say no, it's just not yet. But sometimes you have to find what someone's yes is. Early on, I found some people don't want to be food rescuers. They don't want to drive around and pick up food. Okay, but if you like what we do, I mean, you're never going to find someone that says, oh, yeah, I love wasted food. I can't wait to throw it. Everyone believes in this. But, I'd find someone who is a stay-at-home mom or dad, perhaps. I said, okay, you're home. You're by a phone. We need a dispatcher. We need someone to call when there's a SOS for a last minute. And then, oh, sure, I can do that. So, sometimes it's finding that small job that someone might not think of that isn't the obvious, fill my car with food and take it to a place. So, it's the small victories, the collaboration. And yes, Tom, you're the big vision guy. We need way more of you, but I'm like the small little guy. I don't have that big vision. So create an opportunity for people to say, whoa, I don't have that big vision, but I want to help support your vision. So I don't want to do anything except get a phone call, pick up and drive. I don't want to think any bigger than that. So yes, again, like you said, Lori, we need all of us, and then we have to help find where we all fit into this. I call it the food rescue ecosystem.
I love that. Omar, do you have any thoughts you'd like to share?
Yeah, of course. I wanted to mention this in my slides in my presentation. Thank you, Randy and Tom, for mentioning this. But, really capitalizing on skills that your volunteers have. Just like you said, Randy, I've gotten emails where people are like, I love what you're doing. I heard about you on the radio. I don't have a car. What can I do? And I say, great, let's talk. Let's see what other skills you have. So we've had people who are volunteering, helping us with our social media, with our LinkedIn upkeep. We have people that have, we've getting second, pairs of eyes on grant writing, so they could take a look. They've had some grant writing skills or classes taken in the past, so they help us out. So yeah, exactly. You can help a food rescue organization, not just by picking up and dropping off and physically being in the car, but there's so many other roles that we need to help get our word out there and to help connect with the community.
That's great. Tom, would you have any last thoughts?
Just, really just want to encourage people again. It's like, it's hard, but it's worth it. And you have, 4 of us, I visited Lori in New Haven at Haven's Heart. And it's like, so the 4 of us here can help and don't be shy. And, what Lori's doing in New Haven, it's like to be celebrated, talking to her team, checking out her new warehouse.
That's right.
And her HQ. And I did my calls from her beautiful place. It's great what's happening. We need more of it. And, if you're thinking about it, ask the 4 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they're asking us to wrap up, and I appreciate the 3 of you. It's been lovely to be together. Do actually, just what Tom said, please reach out to any of us. We'd be glad to take those calls and help found more food recovery organizations around the country, as small as people want them to be and as large as Tom's vision.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All of it.
Lovely to be together. Take good care.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
everyone.
Have a great Friday.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.